Welcome back here to Mountain Connections. We are very excited and proud to have Miss Sally Castleman in here. She is a local artist as well as an athlete here in Park City. Sally, how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, and thank you for coming in. You're here to talk about the importance of lifelong activity and the importance of being just healthy throughout your entire life. Let's tell me a little bit about your story, Sally.
Well, I really didn't start doing sports until I was about 52.
Really?
I never grew up competing. It was just not in my framework. Plus, I had 4 children. I had one child that had muscular dystrophy, so he was full-time care. So I just never considered sports as an activity. And he passed away when I was,
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, I was, thank you, 52. And then I remarried when I was 53. And I started a new life. And my husband, who had competed all his life, introduced me to road biking, mountain biking, and that was back east. So there was a limited amount of, and I was working as a teacher, so we would be kind of weekend warriors.
Weekend warriors, yeah, absolutely.
But then about 10 years ago, we moved to Utah. It was totally different because there's outdoor living. East Coast is not, open space. And I learned to ski when I was 60.
Wow.
And I couldn't wait because I grew up not liking the winter because I got cold, and I thought I'm going to learn to love the winter. So I enrolled in ski college, which is a great deal in Park City.
Yes,
and so 5 days of intensive instruction, and I continued doing that every year. And my goal is to incrementally improve each year. And I can now ski with girlfriends, and so, you know, the doors of opportunity started opening up.
And you just fell in love with it. It seems like you hit the ground running. And
I did, and then I met friends through my tennis that like to mountain bike and hike and backpack. So my adventures just kept opening up.
It seems like you fell into one sport, and then the next sport would say, you would meet a group of people and they would say, hey, let me introduce you to this, and you just keep kind of going.
Absolutely, and I'm totally open to what you know, the learning process.
I want to talk about that as well. I think that's an important thing, being open-minded to try new things, and especially at the age 50. I mean, what motivated you to be open to new things? I think a lot of people at that age are maybe like, I have never done it, and I don't want to.
A lot of people limit themselves and judge themselves by their age, and I never did. I got on a mountain bike and I thought, oh, I feel like a 12-year-old kid. So I thought, oh, well, that's probably how you feel with every sport. There's always a learning curve.
Absolutely.
But I think the key is not to limit yourself by what age you are. You judge yourself by your activity. I
think another thing too is as well is maybe not limiting yourself by ability. I think maybe because you're not maybe cycling a mile in a certain amount of time, or maybe not able to cycle 10 miles in a day like some of the top cyclists or even average cyclists here in Park City. But I don't think that you should be comparing yourselves to them, because I think at the bottom line, you should be having fun, and the point is being outside and enjoying what we have around us.
Well, I think there are different aspects you can look at. One, if you just want to have fun and explore, let's say, for instance, biking.
Yeah.
And you know, you do 2 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles. Add on.
Yeah, keep it
going.
But
you can do that, or you can say, I want to bike with groups. And you might choose groups that are fundraising for cancer research, which I've done quite a bit of. It's not competitive, but it challenges you to improve on a weekly basis so that you can ride the 25, 35, 50, or the century miles.
Yeah.
And anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Absolutely.
Because I started from zero at an older age. And then there's also the aspect of competing. I did my first sprint triathlon at age 60.
And how did that feel to accomplish that goal and to compete at age 60?
Well, again, I didn't think of it as being age 60, but people would say, wow, age 60, but that had really nothing to do with it. I knew I could bike, I knew I could run. Swimming, for a lot of people, is the bugaboo.
The hard one.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was never a good swimmer. I sank. I don't have a lot of body fat, so like that. And but I learned to swim. I took lessons, and I kept at it and kept at it. And I did it, the first one at Echo, and then the next one would have been an Olympian after the sprint, Olympian, and half Ironman and full Ironman.
Wow!
But I skipped the Olympian and went to the half Ironman at age 66.
Wow!
And that was in California, because at an Olympian you swim a mile, but a half Ironman you swim a 1.2 miles, so it's not much. So I thought, why not go for the whole thing? And I knew how to bike, I knew how to run, so.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then the other thing is for people that are listening that are in their 50s or 60s, you might consider the senior games in St. George for competing.
Great. Yeah.
And it's really fun, but you compete with people in your own age group. And that's also raising money for cancer research.
That's fantastic. So for a good cause as well. So what are some of the organizations and activities here in Park City, right in our own backyard, that you recommend that you do on a regular basis?
Okay, so well, the key thing for all the sports is for each individual to have a solid base.
Okay.
For strength and stability, your core.
I see.
And I work out 4 or 5 times a week just for that, not with the sports, but for that at Athletic Republic.
Excellent.
I have done, I've worked out at the municipal buildings, the MARC, and also Basin Rec. And I know there's other private organizations. And I would suggest finding a class, unless you want to get a personal trainer. That's involves quite a bit more money.
Yes.
But you can find classes that concentrate on strength and stability.
And that's a great place to start. I mean, you need to build a solid foundation, right, to be able to build off
and
of
you
it.
can't compare yourself with anybody else. You are where you start. And you know, if you can only lift 5 pounds, fine. But maybe in a month you'll go on to 10 pounds and 20. Or you stay at 15, whatever. Yeah. But you mark your own progress, and that's what makes it exciting, to mark your own progress. But you have to be consistent. You can't just like, oh, I'll try this or I try that. You really want to have a program that you keep with year after year after year.
Consistency
it becomes
is the key.
A lifestyle.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I love that.
Yeah.
And Sally, what's next for you? Do you have any major goals set? Any other competitions coming up?
For the last summer, the goal was biking. Okay. Because I did 2. One was, and I think it's a friend of the station here, Wendy Choji. 3 of us, my girlfriends, went to Ohio and rode the Pelotonia. Yes. Which raises money for the Cancer Institute there. And we did 185 miles on a Saturday and Sunday. Wow. And it was really thrilling, knowing, because between the 3 of us, or amongst the 3 of us, the 4 of us, we raised over $16,000 for the Institute. And then the James Institute. And then in September, I was so lucky to be able to go to France and do 2 of the Tour de France climbs.
The legs, wow.
Yeah, Alpe d'Huez and Mont Ventoux.
Wow, those are some of the big climbs.
Those are big climbs. Wow. And Alpe d'Huez, some of you are probably familiar with it, where you see the commercial with the cars, the 21 hairpins. That was, so that was a personal accomplishment.
Well, congratulations on that. That's
so
major.
This summer will be a hiking summer, my goals, because I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro in September.
Wow.
Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow. Always setting the bar high.
You have to, yeah.
I love it. I love
it. I'll just, train locally, climb Timpanogos a couple of times, Mount Olympus, and maybe go to Colorado and do a couple of 14ers.
Couple 14ers there to get ready for Kilimanjaro.
Yep.
Well, Sally, I don't even think I can keep up with you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing
it was a pleasure.
all of your experiences and all of your tips on how to stay active and have a fun time, really, and enjoy what we have here in Park City.
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes beyond all of that.
Yeah,
Thanks again. Absolutely. Okay. You can see Sally around town, and if you do, be sure and say hi. I'm sure she has some great tips for you as well if you want to learn how to get involved and maybe get a little bit more active right here in Park City. We wish her luck with her next challenge of Mount Kilimanjaro. We'll be right back with much more right here on Mount Connections after this short break.